Krystyn.
Hello, Rachel.
I feel like I'm in a good place. Surrounded by a lot of books, crystals, oils, nature. I mean, what more could you want?
Right. What kind of oils do you have over there?
I have a selection here. I have 5 different ones. This is Endoflex. This is incredible for temper tantrums or hormones.
Do you suspect I'm going to throw a temper tantrum today? Is that what brought it?
No, not you. You never throw temper tantrums.
Maybe today's the day, though.
Well, I mean, do I have to be the person to receive your temper tantrum?
I didn't tell you have to receive it. Maybe you were just...
Witness to it?
Yeah.
So this is a blend. It smells really lovely. I'll pass that on over.
Thank
That's
you.
great for all humans, especially...
Ooh, there's got to be mint of some sort in there, right?
Yes, there's spearmint, I believe.
Spearmint is supposed to be really good for hormones.
Yeah.
I think we might have talked about this previously, but I've been using...
Oh, yeah, the tea.
was drinking spearmint tea to help with my PCOS symptoms.
Yes. So you can tell we have a rollerball on that for easy application.
Yep.
But yeah, we use that a lot with the kiddos, but I use that a lot too. Again, perimenopause, hormones, all the things women related. I am a big supporter of anything you can do to help with that.
That smells so good. What else, do you know what else is in it?
Let me see. The blend is going to be listed here. So we got spearmint. We have sesame seed oil, which is another really good. Sage, geranium, myrtle. This one is, I don't know this one, but it's, man, phonics did not work for Rachel. Matriciera. It's part of the chamomile family. And then nutmeg.
Interesting.
Yeah. So like none of these oils that are in this are like, I would consider like a premium oil or like super, super expensive by itself. Naturally, you can make your own blend of oils. This one is a Young Living. All my oils are from Young Living. Then I have Palo Santo, which, as they say, is the poor man's frankincense.
I love my Palo Santo.
Oh, I do too. I do too. Yes.
Love it.
Yep. So this is that in an oil form.
I don't think I've ever owned it in an oil form, though.
Well, today's the day. Then I have some myrrh.
Oh, God, this is Palo Santo. It smells so good. I just moaned. And
yes, you did. That one really
got
gets ya.
Krystyn going.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a relaxing. I burn Palo Santo all the time. So it's just naturally that scent.
Yes.
It makes me just...
I like Palo Santo more than I like sage.
Agreed.
That is it in oil form. Then I have some myrrh, which again, this is myrrh oil.
Right.
Most people are used to it being in like an incense.
So what is myrrh?
It's a tree. Are you talking like what is it biblically or
Well,
like?
I mean, I know the
physically,
biblical...
it's a tree.
Physically, it's a tree.
And
okay.
it's found in the Middle East. Same with frankincense, right? Like frankincense is actually a resin.
Right. Well, I wasn't sure if that was the same with myrrh or not.
It is.
Okay.
And it's super sappy. And once it's open, like I just opened this one, it will harden.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah.
How long do you have before that happens?
Maybe a couple years, something like that.
Oh, you have time.
Yeah. Not like it's not like instant hardening.
Use that by the time our girls are out of middle school. That's
Well, and the thing is, based on our topic for today, which is crystal and herbs, I kind of went down the path of herbs in the sense of how they can be transformed into oils. Right. So then I also brought some ylang-ylang, which is a flower. One of the things I was going to touch on is how to utilize these in baths. Like you can take baths. I feel like that's a lost art, kind of like writing thank you cards. I'm going to get people to jump in a bath after this episode. But this one's really, really great for healing, especially if it's related to grief or if you're going through a loss. Naturally, it's super floral, so it's intense.
Oh, I know this smell. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's really lovely, and it complements a lot of different other oils.
I feel like that would go really well with sandalwood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. You can diffuse. I love to just go through and figure out a little drop of this and a little drop of that. And then the last one I brought, I just grabbed. I don't know much about it. It's called Egyptian gold. It's a blend.
What?
Yeah, it's frankincense, balsam, Canada. So you have a fir, lavender, myrrh, hyssop, Northern Lights black spruce, which is my favorite alpine family oil.
Right.
Cedarwood, vetiver, rose, and cinnamon. So you got a lot going on with this one.
Egyptian history came up this over the weekend. One of the stones that I was drawn to talking about today is malachite. And Egyptian pharaohs would line and adorn their headdresses or their whatever they were wearing on their head with it to amplify their wisdom.
Love that.
Do you ever think about Egyptians when it comes to past life?
Me personally, no. But I do feel like just through learning about history and growing up so close to DC, we would always go down to the different museums, the different Smithsonian museums, and they always had sarcophaguses. Sarcophagus. We're using a lot of big words today. The Smithsonian. And I think the Egyptian culture is fucking fascinating.
I mean, just riddled with magic.
And then even some of my favorite movies take place around, Egypt and treasure hunting. And, well, they glorified some of that stuff that probably was like pretty sacred. And I wouldn't necessarily be down with disturbing too many people's, death rituals. Like once they're done, I think you're just supposed to move on, not dig it up.
I know. I do think about that. I'm all for them learning about what happened, right? Because I can help our futures. But also, I'm like, I get a little weird about, unearthing mummies and...
Right. I just feel like there's that fine line of learning about history while still respecting it, which naturally has happened over time. But then you have the opposite where people have raided tombs and just stolen history. And then what?
Then Indiana Jones happens.
Look at you referencing movies. I'm so proud of you.
It's a big day, Rach.
It's a big day. Can you reference all the Indiana Jones?
Raiders. Stark.
Yeah.
The tomb. The Temple of Doom.
Yep.
What's the other one?
Last Crusade.
The Last Crusade. Which one is the one where he just reaches in and pulls the guy's heart right out of his chest?
That is the Temples of Doom.
Temples? Multiple Temples of Doom?
I think so.
Or is it just Temple of Doom?
No, maybe it's just Temple. Temples.
The four-head Temples of Doom.
So,
welcome
to Two Mystic Mamas. Yes. Thank you so much for being here.
We appreciate you guys.
We really do.
Today we are talking about crystals and herbs for autumn.
Autumn is the best month of the year.
So there's 2 Temples of Doom, but 1 month of autumn.
Yes. Okay. It's the best months of the year. It's my favorite season.
It does feel like it goes so fast, though. Like I don't
even know how are we at the end of summer? How did that happen?
Right. It is. I mean, it is. We're outside recording again today.
We are.
It's absolutely stunningly beautiful.
Yep. It's so good.
But I do have a sweatshirt on.
I do too. But we're also under a tree and the sun's kind of hidden. And I think we're just at the place where we can wear sweatshirts and we're here for it. I know I am. Could I be without a sweatshirt? I could.
Are you in your sweatshirt era?
Yeah. As soon as I get into, so I am not a big pumpkin spice freak. Okay. I know that they associate pumpkin spice. Yeah, whatever.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn. But yeah, I love the fall.
It is so magical. And one of the things, I mean, we're sitting here under this tree and I know we're talking about crystals and herbs today, but I did want to talk a little bit about the magic of trees.
Okay. I'm here for it.
I think it just falls like right in line with all of that. I don't know. There is something so special about touching, sitting, hugging, Call us tree huggers, whatever. I don't care. I will gladly hug a tree.
I will too.
You soak up so much of that energy. Mm-hmm. And so a few years ago, Evie and I went on a mother-daughter trip. We went to Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, because it was this cute little Harry Potter cafe that I wanted to take her to. Then we went to Salem, which was absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm. I've never been.
I hadn't been in a long time. So it was super magical to go back and even more magical to take Evie with me. And then after that, we headed up to Maine. So there is a Danish artist named Thomas Dambo, and he creates these magical, huge trolls.
Oh, cool.
Out in nature.
Okay.
That are made out of recycled wood, and they're just these huge sculptures with amazing personality. So I had found out about this, and so we decided to go on a hike to find these. And now these ones that we went to are called Guardian of the Seed. So you hike through all of them, and it's all about reconnecting with nature. And each of the trolls is meant to be a guardian of a certain kind of seed from a tree. Somewhere between the mountains and the rocky coast lies a forest of pristine green forgotten by most. Deep in the forest is a secret place with 10 golden seeds at the end of a maze. They were hidden by 5 giant forest trolls protecting each part of the forest so old. It was told that the trolls spoke the tongue of the trees and had sworn to protect them from war and disease. And then it goes on to talk about each one of the guardians and what they do. So we hiked through and we did this, and it was one of the coolest things like I've ever done in my whole life. And we found a fairy garden along the way. I mean, just so magical.
Yeah.
So we can do this anywhere, right? We can go out and hike through whatever forest, or I can go out in my front yard. If you have an oak tree, go sit under your oak tree and just soak up all of the wisdom and the strength. I don't know. I just think there's so much that we can learn from the trees.
I agree. Well, and the trees speak to each other. A few years ago, we have 4 pin oaks, had 4 pin oaks. And unfortunately, we lost one because it was a 3-prong, and the prongs, basically the tree can only hold itself up for so long before it just gives. You don't know what's internally going on. And one of the prongs gave, and it was a big one. It was huge. And thankfully, no one was hurt at all because it happened in the backyard. It happened in the middle of the day. Everyone had just come in for lunch. And at that point, we had a couple arborists come out because I was like devastated because I love my trees. It's one of the reasons we bought this house, right? Jeff hates the trees in the fall because the leaves are a lot. Mm-hmm. But I always take that responsibility as mine because I'm like, I'll take care of the leaves and the trees. Okay, no big deal. So when the arborist came, they looked at it, they inspected it, and they basically said, now, because the weight has been displaced, when you have a tree of this age, they don't know how to like reposition the weight, right? So the other 2 branches, which were also giant, would eventually give. There's no timeline, but they would have fallen on both of our structures. They would have either fallen on the she shed, the one, and the other one would have fallen on the main house. And I was like, we can't take this chance. We have children, and so we made the decision to take the trees down. In saying that, the arborists, super intelligent, they're so smart. And to your point about trees and the magic of them, they talk to each other. So even though our trees, 2 were in the front yard, 2 were in the back, all 4 of those trees were planted at the same time, and they all have a connection and a relationship to each other. So when we took this tree down, naturally it's been 2 years at this point, but the root systems are still very much intact under the earth. But they will continue to deteriorate. And he said that the other 3 trees will be affected by the loss of this one.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. And because tree roots don't so much go down deep in the earth as they do go wide. Actually, when they laid the tree down, they hit the other tree. The whole thing was very traumatic for me. Like, I have video of me while they're laying the tree down.
I do remember seeing the video.
And Well, I was having a really hard time with it. The whole thing was, I just the whole thing. And this was before I was on my spiritual journey, which of course makes fucking sense that I was having a meltdown because while they were taking the tree down, I was trying to work in the she shed. And it would just be like, whoa, shit, a giant branch would fly by my window. And I'd be like, oh my God. I felt like that scene in Beetlejuice where the sculpture comes through the window when he's getting his coffee or tea. And he's like, God damn it. I was like I couldn't. I was having such bad anxiety because I was so sad about the tree. I was sad that it happened. I was sad that I lost it. I always talked to the tree that lost its sister. I always walk by, and of course, because we have these stupid lantern flies, I'm always constantly checking their bark and making sure that if they're climbing on them, that I get them off of the tree. I say, you have no business being on my tree. Get off my tree. I do that with the birch trees too.
So birch trees, actually, they have like lots of protective qualities to them. The other tree that has really mystical associations is the ash tree. Metaphysically, it's associated with like healing and enchantment. And it's when they say when you put ash leaves under your pillow that it's supposed to help encourage like prophetic dreams.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I did find out in my research about it, and I didn't know this, that the ash tree is a part of the lilac family.
Oh, I love lilacs. Animals naturally gravitate towards certain types of trees too, and birds. And cedar woods are also known for their protective, healing, grounding properties. Right. And you will find that a lot of animals will sleep under cedarwood trees.
Right. Well, and the northern white cedar tree is actually naturally impervious to all wood-boring insects. So it attracts its own very special magical creatures.
That's so cool. Yeah.
It's also the driest wood on the stump in North America.
Huh.
Yeah.
So it burns hot then.
Well, it's like a smokes, right? It doesn't really burn so much.
Like a pine.
Well, pine has a lot of moisture. So when they use pine, they have to take it, when they cut it down, they have to kiln dry it.
Yes.
But the cedar, they air dry.
Air dry.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other tree, while we're on the topic of trees, is a crabapple. If you take the pips, the seeds of the crabapple, and you say the name of your love or whatever, and you throw it into the fire, if they explode, then it's supposed to be true love. Like it's an old wives' tale. There's a lot of love magic around apples and trees.
And it all goes back to that time in the Garden of Eden. When someone took a bite of the forbidden fruit.
Some people believe that, some people don't.
But isn't it interesting that a lot of this is all secular, where it's all centered around some of the, like the stories and everything are so centered around.
Similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since we're talking about plants, what are some of your favorite herbs for fall?
So I don't like pumpkin spice candles and pumpkin spice lattes, but I do like pumpkin spice. Like I like pumpkin pie, I like nutmeg, I like cinnamon, I like clove, lemon, that sort of thing. But I think for me, when I think autumn and I think herbs, I really start going into soups. I don't want to say I'm a basic bitch kind of girl when it comes to my herbs, but rosemary, thyme, sage, all of those, grouping them together, doing different types of roasts. I just think autumn is the time where you start kind of getting ready for the next season, actually, right? We always prepare for like the next season to come.
In indigenous cultures and also through the witchy world, autumn is really known as the second harvest, right? And it's when we, like you said, start to prepare for like the darker months.
The darker and colder months.
The darker months. And it's really a time to take responsibility for our actions, I think. I know a lot of people find renewal at the new year or in the spring, but for me, the autumn is really a time of renewal. And when I kind of start to reset the wheel.
I think it's so interesting too, because when you start to think about planning, to your point, for the seasons to come, it's so applicable to many aspects of life. Whatever journey you're kind of walking on, naturally the folks that lived off the land before us they legitimately had to live off the land. There was no like, let's just go to the grocery store. It was like you had to figure it out. You take that time, you honor that time, you prepare, and then you are set up for success in the winter, and you're not starving and going hungry.
Right.
And I mean, you take those things that used to exist back in the day, which I've naturally never experienced, but it's still so true when you start talking about what you can do in the autumn to prepare for the fall season.
Mm-hmm. Well, and a lot of the herbs that you talked about using in soups and cooking with have magical properties. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, and you're talking about using thyme, like it's really known for its protective properties. And, you know, rosemary is also known for protecting and healing. And when you're starting to get into like cold and flu season, you're already starting to put those things into your body just naturally, because what's coming from the earth in the harvest is already naturally protecting us. So if we're using the food that we're growing or we're eating in season, like we talked about before, we're already naturally going to be putting things in our body that are going to help propel us through all those.
And I am a big supporter of, there's a difference between healthcare and sick care. You know, I do think that everything we need to heal our mind, bodies, and souls is provided on this earth in some way, shape, or form.
And I think most of it is provided by Rachel's very strong ginger turmeric shots that she makes.
Also true.
Highly recommend them.
Once again, from this earth.
Ginger is also good for manifesting. So if you need to add a little fiery spirit into whatever you're manifesting in your life, I would recommend a simmer pot with some ginger in it, or add it to your cooking. You know, I found a really good way of adding ginger into stuff is I use my zester.
A zester, like one of those ones that you can grate?
Yeah, like the fine ones.
Yeah. You don't need much. You know, ginger is one of those things. A little bit goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that Rachel loves are succulents.
No, I don't.
I know you don't. But they are really a good reminder for resilience. And it's actually been...
Unless you're in Rachel's... I love when people are like, it's impossible to kill them. No, it's not. It's not. But again, that goes back to having the right soil, right? And if we think about like soil blends in general and how different plants take different types of soil, it's similar to humans. Like not everything works for everybody. Everybody kind of needs to figure out their own unique blend, right? So succulents thrive in more of a sandy dirt kind of soil that is more rocky and more difficult to grow. If you put it in like beautiful, amazing potting soil, it's fuck you, dude. You gotta make it a little bit more difficult because they just go root rot and then it's done. The sun, the way the sun's coming down right now on you is wow.
Oh, yay.
It's like highlighting all of the things.
Oh. I actually have a crystal right here.
Yeah, let's talk about this guy.
It's just called a sunstone. Look at this bad boy.
I know. It's so pretty.
Isn't it so pretty? I actually brought my book out because I want to talk about...
Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. Do-do-do-do. Here comes the sun. And I said, it's all right. All right.
No, the reason I brought this book, I didn't write this in my notes. Here it is.
Okay.
Because this lovely little crystal magic book that I have actually gives you not only some like chakra correspondence, but it gives you like a little mantra or affirmation that you can say.
Fantastic.
With them.
Yep.
So I'm going to go through a couple that I have
do it.
here.
And anytime that we are doing mantras or intentions while we are on the podcast, just know that they are also meant for you and that they are for this moment and the recording. And so it can be applied. And then, you know, naturally with any reading, with any mantra, you take what you need and then you can let the rest of it go.
Yeah. So the sunstone, naturally anything that you have that's going to be kind of in a more like a red or an orange hue is going to correlate with the root chakra, or depending on if it's more orange or yellow, the sacral or the solar plexus, right? But this one really does correspond with your root chakra a lot. And this is like all about those warming forces that the sun gives us, right? And the other part of this is that I radiate joy. So get yourself a little piece of sunstone. I actually, when I do my tarot reading, if I'm pulling more than one card, I will then take a crystal that I just feel drawn to, and I'll place it on top of that card for the day, just to amplify. And then I'll kind of read and journal about what each thing does individually. The other thing that I have here, and this is like a bun, is tiger's eye. I choose each day to see the light and grace in all. Stop it. Look at how the sun catches this. It's so freaking pretty. I love it so much.
I love it too. Yeah, and if you guys are wondering what a chakra is, chakras are energy centers that run down the length of our body. And if you're just think of the rainbow, red, yellow, orange, green, blue, indigo, and reverse that up your body. So the root chakra is red. It starts at the base of your tailbone, right around your perineum area. And then it moves, the chakras move up towards the top of your head. The top of your head is your crown chakra, and that is the purple, indigo, beautiful violet neck of the woods. And if you have crystals that emulate those colors, they correspond to those chakras.
Yeah.
It's like a very simple way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
So,
because there's so many different crystals that you can use.
Oh yeah. It can be a little overwhelming. We should preface that with our listeners. If you're just start small.
Right. That's why I only brought a couple out today.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you can go down a whole woot.
Right. So we talked about the malachite earlier with the prophecies, with wisdom, with the Egyptian pharaohs.
Yeah.
And the tiger's eye, obviously, the sunstone. And now this one I have is hematite. And this is a big, heavy motherfucker.
Yeah. Is hematite a metal? I always associate it with a metal. I don't know if it's a metal or a rock. I'm just asking that because I'm inquiring.
It is an iron oxide.
So it is a metal based.
Yes.
Okay.
It's iron oxide, usually formed in the presence of water and amongst the most abundant minerals on Earth. Hematite is like a strong, steady, grounding stone. Metal, stone, crystal, whatever you want to call it. And this is really for anchoring, right? And this is also another one that's connected really heavily to the root chakra. And if you are especially going through like big life changes, hematite.
That's how you say it down south.
Hematite is an exceptional stone to carry around with you. I'll be honest, sometimes, and I think this is because I have a decent amount of root chakra trauma that I'm still working through. Sometimes it's too much for me. Like I literally have to take this stone and put it away and not have it around me for a while. It's so strong.
Sometimes I feel like you have to walk away from things that you're growing through.
Right.
Because the other thing with crystals is some will resonate with you on certain days in certain moments than others. And to your point, it's okay to put them away. It is okay to, take something that's working for you at one point, and then if it's not working for you, put it away for a little bit,
right,
and then go back to it when you need it. Because especially when we're dealing with our chakra system, the root chakra is naturally the closest to this human experience we're having on Earth. Our finances, our security, our home structure, things that we need to survive in this world that we're living in this existence. But when we want to move to a higher dimensional plane or a higher frequency, we move away from the root chakra. We move up into the higher chakras and the higher frequencies, which other crystals and different things will correspond with. And I think that that's a beautiful thing to just point out too, is give yourself that space to honor that part of you.
Yeah.
Wherever you are. If
you're looking for a grounding and protecting crystal that maybe is not quite as strong as hematite, I would suggest black tourmaline or smoky quartz. Mm-hmm. They have a little gentler energy, I would say. In fact, this is the first time I've pulled this crystal out in probably over 6 months. It takes me right back to some feelings. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's some stuff I need to navigate, which is why I felt like I need to bring it out today.
I love that. Yeah. So what about you? What about some of the herbs that you associate with the fall specifically?
You know, I'm a big, like you said, I'm a big fan of simmer pots. So cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves.
Yep.
Those are all big staples. Rosemary is another one that I use a lot. I also feel like my cooking changes so much. I'm a very seasonal eater.
I know. Krystyn just made this amazing summer quiche, crustless quiche today. And it was fantastic. It was light and airy and still summery and delicious. It was really good.
Thanks. I did enjoy it myself too. Yeah, that was pretty good. But, you know, all of those herbs are, for me, very coordinated with the change in season and that harvest. So as my garden grows, I am more drawn to whatever I have in my garden.
That makes me think of love grows wherever rosemary goes. You know that song?
No.
It's an oldie.
Who is it?
Love grows wherever my rosemary goes. Is it Van Morrison?
Oh, how do I not know this song? While you're looking for that, though, the other one that's big, and I grow a lot of it, and we just talked about it earlier with your Endoflex, is spearmint or any kind of mint. Cleansing, healing, also used to promote abundance, and it can help boost divinatory powers. So, you know, try making some mint tea before you do a tarot reading or any sort of scrying or rune. Also, tummy aches and headaches, mint is great for. But I am growing mine to an excessive amount because I drink spearmint tea daily, or I should say before vacation, I was drinking spearmint tea daily. And now I'm drying it. And oh God, what did you find?
Well, apparently I found a bunch of Wi-Fi connections that I've made over the years that I've never cleaned out.
Oh, fuck.
And one of them is cock meat sandwich. Where was I?
What kind of crystals and herbs do you like for autumn? Cock meat sandwich.
Can you imagine?
My family's favorite fall meal.
Now that we have kids, I can't even imagine. Just get on the Wi-Fi, kids. It's cock meat sandwich. What the fuck? This is hilarious. I mean, I have a lot. I've never cleaned this out. This is just fast. Pretty fly for a Wi-Fi.
It's great. That's great.
That one is good. Where was I going?
I literally have no idea what you were talking about, but I do have a gift for you.
Oh, okay.
While we're on the topic of crystals.
Yes.
I got it when we were at the beach.
Look at that.
Huh?
Look at you. My gosh. That's so... Is this a neck?
It's a bracelet.
Oh, it's a...
Yeah, and it's carnelian.
Okay, so carnelian boosts vitality and confidence and frees up the mind to be creative.
Perfect for podcasting.
That is such a sweet gift. Oh my gosh. I love this. Thank you.
Yay. You are welcome.
And it's such a pretty color for fall.
Mm-hmm. It goes
I think
well with your
Sam's
sweatshirt.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Well, we're just going to be all full of jewelry that we're never going to be able to take off ever.
Ever.
Because I got these other two ones I was telling you, and now I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have crystals coming out the wazoo. That is so great. So it's a Scorpio.
Well, I was kind of going back and forth on that because we've talked about it.
Yes.
And you do feel like you embody some of the Scorpio energy, but when I was reading what it does, because it's carnelian.
Yes.
I was like, oh, this is the one.
And carnelian is not a stone that I am familiar with.
I have some in the house, actually. I do enjoy carnelian.
It's so pretty.
A mantra for that, too, is
Okay.
I act with passion and purpose.
Oh, man, I love that.
Mm-hmm. Egyptians sought its protective aura to guide the dead on their journey forward. And the Romans favored this stone for signet rings used to seal official documents. Hot wax will not stick to it.
Okay. I'll remember that next time we do anything with hot wax.
Carnelian increases personal power and self-confidence while grounding you in the present moment to be fully in charge. True to its fiery red color, carnelian can also release your passionate side for whatever excites you and act as a kick in the pants you need to get things done. Oh, be careful. It can also promote fertility for whatever you decide to give birth to. Podcast.
No,
baby.
it's there's no more humans.
Podcast baby.
Oh, I remember
Boomerang
what
for
I
it.
was gonna ready.
Yeah. Oh, I know this song.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that was the lyric though.
It's by Edison Lighthouse.
Oh, that's
And
not Van Morrison.
It is not, but it sounds like Van Morrison, don't you think?
Not so much.
Love me a little soundtrack. Okay, so the other thing that when I was doing research for this episode, and I was thinking about the fall and the changing of, the weather patterns here in the Northeast, it starts to get a little chilly and you got some fires going, and that's all great. I love a good fire in the evening, but also taking a bath.
I love a good bath.
I love a good bath. And I think incorporating and being intentional about your bath is also really fascinating because it's a time to relax. It's a time to unwind. And so you can incorporate a lot of herbs, either fresh, or you can also do oils. Naturally, a lot of oils are just herbs in a concentrated form.
Right.
We talk a lot about doing detox baths. I'm a big detox bath person. So if my kids come down with any kind of sickness, the first thing we do when we get home is take a detox bath, which
Right.
I will put up the recipes. But if you're listening, a detox bath is just hot water. Like
If you're listening.
If you're listening, I always say that.
I know, it's so
As
funny.
opposed
I
to
love
like
it
watching.
so much.
Epsom salts, hydrogen peroxide, and baking soda. Those are our three main ingredients. And then we add essential oils to either the Epsom salts or the baking soda before we add it. Because if you just put oil in water, it'll just sit on the surface of the water. So you want it to incorporate in. And so if you let it sit in some Epsom salts, the Epsom salts will dissolve and then the oil will get dissipated that way or dispersed that way. So I just did that. And naturally with water is a healing mechanism too. When you kind of step out of it, instead of just thinking about it, just cleaning your body, if it, feel the water, if you're taking a shower, cleansing, your skin and just rinsing away any sort of negative.
Also, if you are a bath taker and you are detoxing, right, or you're doing any sort of magical bath, I highly recommend rinsing in the shower afterwards to rinse away whether it's toxins, if you're doing a detox, or, if you're trying to do a cleansing bath. I still recommend a quick rinse afterwards just to get all that stuff off you.
I never, after I take any sort of bath, I always feel like I need to follow it up with a shower. It's not, yeah, I never feel like I get out of a bath fully and I'm like, man, I'm clean. I just sat in a bunch of
skin cells.
Yeah. So lavender, Roman chamomile, we already talked about, sandalwood, Palo Santo, myrrh, frankincense. I mean, there's just so many. Now, this is one thing that I didn't do, but I think it is so interesting, is adding milk to a bath.
I've done milk bath photo shoots before.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. They're gorgeous.
They're so cool.
But there's healing properties as well.
Didn't the Egyptians used to do that as well?
Yeah. Huge.
What is going on?
I think they used goat's milk a lot.
What is going on with Egypt?
I don't know. There's some Egyptian magical things happening right now. So what else did I write down? Oh, well, talking about books, this book came in handy dandy. I was doing a lot. I actually reached out to her to see if she wants to be on the podcast.
Yeah, I was reading through that at your house last time I was there.
Yes.
I took pictures of many pages of that book.
Yes, the artwork is fantastic. So this book that we're talking about, her name is Karen Rose, the author, and she has a few books. This is The Art and Practice of Spiritual Herbalism, but in it she talks about the spiritual or the nervous system and how it's so much related to spirituality.
I had taken a picture of part of that book where she was talking when she starts to talk about circulatory health.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
You okay over there?
Yeah. Well, I just love how she talks about the different systems in our body, but how it goes back to spirituality.
Right. And so she was talking about how heart problems can signal discontent or unhappiness, or, and then how discontent emerges from when we are making our decisions from a certain place in our life.
Well,
right. And we're not making decisions from our heart.
Yes.
And then we're being disconnected.
Yes. And it's so fascinating because we were always told, you know, what's the balance between making decisions with our head versus our heart, you know, and you get different trains of thought, and different people follow different. I lead with my heart. I follow my heart. You know, your heart chakra, right below that is your solar plex chakra, and that is your gut. That is your intuition, right? So they're so connected to each other, those two. And when they're both spinning at good frequencies and things are aligned and your chakras are cleansed, that's when decisions that are made there, they platform you to another timeline, you know, like they take you up a level.
I mean, there's a lot of what you're talking about too, in terms of where we're making our decisions has to do with, especially as women, being into our divine feminine and into that flow, right? And allowing ourselves to make decisions from our intuition.
Yes.
And all of those magical properties of ourselves that we're tapping into.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Wrapping up what we were talking about, taking care of ourselves during this change, moving into autumn, and how you can support yourself with different herbs and crystals.
Yeah. And there's so many ways you can use them, whether it's in an oil form, a simmer pot with fresh oil or fresh herbs or dried herbs, or you are cooking with them, putting crystals, literally crystals everywhere. I move my crystals around depending on what my intention is.
Yep.
You will not go into one room in my house and not find a crystal.
Yeah, we have them pretty well circulated too.
Yeah.
Crystals contain frequency. And so when you combine them with your frequency, naturally it raises it. We didn't talk about this, but like cleansing crystals, there's different methods to cleanse your crystals. And naturally, if you've been using a crystal for a long time, it's just, you know, a deck of tarot cards. You're going to want to cleanse them and clear out the energy and any negative or stagnant or psychic debris that may still exist. You know, that's a very easy ritual to do. You can do it with water. You can bury the crystals, anything that's going to bring them back to their natural state. You can put them out in the moon. The moon has been known to cleanse and bring them back to their natural state. And then
also the sun. You can charge them in the sun, cleanse them in the sun, water, the moon power. I would suggest if you are cleansing in the moon to do it either under a new moon or a full moon, unless you're trying to infuse a certain intention within them. And then I would correlate that to the moon phase. If you are going to cleanse your crystals with water, be careful because there are crystals that will disintegrate in water.
Yeah, you can't do water soluble.
And selenite is one of them.
Okay.
And that's a big one that people use. It's like more readily available. So be careful. If you use selenite, you want to cleanse that under the moon.
Thank you for being a part of our community and listening to this podcast episode. And we'd love it if you would share organically with 3 people that you think would benefit from the message that Krystyn and I are putting out. It is super important to us. We would love the support, and it's a free way to just do some exchange of energy. If you did receive something from this message and this podcast episode, we would just love it if you would share it with 3 other humans that you think would also benefit from it.
Yep. We love you guys.
So, all right, tune in next time when we'll talk about something fun and fantastic and
cocked meat sandwiches.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh. Just kidding. We're not going to give you the recipe for that.
No. Anti.
God. Well, we do have somebody that just listened to the last one with their 10-year-old son. So we should warn her not to listen to this one with her 10-year-old son. Unless she wants to explain what a cocked meat sandwich is. Sorry, dear.
All right, guys. Until next time, thanks for being with us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Over and out.
Bye.
Bye.